A resolution to extend the emergency powers COVID-19 orders to September 30th passed in the House of Assembly this afternoon. Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Dr. Hubert Minnis, acknowledged the extension is necessary to enable government to make quick and decisive decisions on the COVID-19 pandemic when necessary, particularly as COVID-19 cases rise nationwide. Altavis Munnings has more.
We are monitoring the current cases of COVID-19 extremely closely. We will make decisions based in the best interests of Bahamians and residents, based on the best information at any given moment of this pandemic.
One of those decisions was whether or not to ban Bahamians from traveling abroad when the borders reopened on July 1st. The Prime Minister referenced the father and son from Inagua who recently traveled to Florida and were discovered COVID-19 positive by health officials upon their return to New Providence.
And what our statistical analysis have demonstrated thus far, and everything is still being analyzed, out of just 56 of individuals who were infected, and this can go up, analysis is ongoing, 40% were due to travel, Bahamians traveling to the various hotspots. But we expect that number to increase dramatically as we complete the analysis. We as a government, we refused, though we thought about it, we refused to make that decision to place a travel embargo on Bahamians and allow others to come in. But what would have happened had we done that? The opposition, the people, the media, etc., would have lambasted us for doing that, because they would not have known what the possible outcome would have been. We would have been a successful nation, but we would have been a destroyed grouping.
And in the face of that, the Prime Minister acknowledged that the opposition was already threatening to take government to court on an unconstitutional violation if the travel ban was implemented.
Governments will be placed in situations where at some point in time they would have to make what they call discriminatory or unconstitutional decisions against their people in the interest of the advancement of their nation.
That's correct, my friend. Absolutely. Absolutely.
But, Mr. Speaker, we could not. And the statistics are verifying that if we did, RIU and other hotels would have been opened and doing well.
Prime Minister Minnis further expanded on travel in his contribution to extending the emergency orders to September 30th in the House of Assembly on Thursday. Citing the difficulty many countries around the world are now facing from the pandemic, he admitted government's border policy was adjusted and restrictions imposed because certain aspects of that openness were not working.
It is abundantly clear, Mr. Speaker, that travel and tourism for the Bahamas cannot deliver on our tax collection and employment needs until and unless we create an environment that allows it to flourish to a much greater degree. Our lockdowns, our curfews, and other measures to minimize the impact of COVID-19 on the Commonwealth of the Bahamas is for the sake of our health and for the sake of making our Bahamas a country with a low level of COVID-19.
Altavis Munnings, ZNS Network News.
The new Minister of Health and Member of Parliament for Bamboo Town, Renard Wells, making his inaugural contribution as Health Minister in the House of Assembly this morning, pointing out that efforts are underway to shore up the country's healthcare system as a nation faces a second wave of COVID-19. Mr. Wells expressed concern about the level of the surge and the consequences to Bahamians and residents, noting that everyone must work together to break the back of the pandemic.